Yo, what is up, guys? Ethan here, back with another video, and in today's episode we're doing our My Mock Draft 2.0. This time it's with trades. There was 7, but due to today's trade with Brandon Cooks, I had to cancel one of them off. If you're just curious, it was the Texans trading pick 57 and 241 to the Packers for 62 and 209. That trade will not be in there, so Packers still have pick 62. And instead of the Texans having pick 57, the Los Angeles Rams will have it. So just to give you a FYI. Since that, there's a total of 6 trades, 3 in the first, 3 in the second. And personally, this is not off what I would do. What I would do would be next mock draft, which will be with trades, and that will be right before the NFL draft is. This is a little bit of what I would do, but mainly it's what I think the team would do. There's a total of 64, and this video is going to be long. For the trades in the first round, I've made a graphic. Well, you'll be able to see. And then for the second round, it would be a color code thing and also a graphic, in which we'll get to probably way later. So, let's get into it. With the first overall pick in the NFL draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback from LSU. First off, I hope you like this new style of the draft. In the comment section below, do you like this one or last one's better? And yeah, at this point, I think it's pretty obvious on who the Bengals would do. I could see the Dolphins trading up because they do have 3 first-round picks after all, but I really don't see it happening. That's why I didn't do a trade of it. And Joe Burrow is almost a lock to be this first overall pick. With the second overall pick in the NFL draft, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young, edge rusher from Ohio State. Probably the best player in the draft. Everyone's saying he's going to be a top 5 edge rusher. I really don't think so. Unless he somehow falls to the Giants. I think he'd be a really good fit with the Giants. But first off, there's no way the Giants are trading up with a division rival here. And I don't like Chase Young, really. I'm just not. He's definitely going to be a top edge rusher in the league. I'm not sure about top 5, though. With the third overall pick in the NFL draft, the Detroit Lions select Isaiah Simmons, linebacker / safety from Clemson. Like Isaiah Simmons and also another player like Jeremy Chin, we'll get to later. There are 2 players of example who can mainly play linebacker or safety, but they can play basically anywhere on the field besides nose tackle. Those are just the type of defensive linebackers we're seeing now in the NFL. Well, I think it's become a trend, at least. Detroit, Isaiah Simmons. Maybe one of the best linebackers in a draft since maybe even Luke Kuechly, let's be honest. I see a lot of people have Jeff Okudah, but I think you can get like a decent corner in round 2 or 3. That's when you'll get it. Or you can even trade for a cornerback. You would never get a type of linebacker like this in a draft, maybe in the next 10, 15 years. It's that crazy. You have to take them. With the 4th overall pick, first surprise of the video, I have the New York Giants selecting Mekhi Becton, offensive lineman from Louisville. Yeah, I haven't posted in a while because due to a lack of production, and also YouTube took down my wide receiver video, and that was my first community guideline strike. I appealed, they didn't answer back, so that's why I haven't posted in a week or 2. So I'm not able to do my rankings, but if I did do my rankings, Mekhi Becton would be my 4th offensive tackle. It would be Andrew Thomas, Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, and then Mekhi Becton. I only have Mekhi Becton going here because, first off, I think Dave Gettleman is going to draft Becton. And second of all, you need some blockers for Saquon and Daniel Jones. And he may have the most potential I think Wirfs has the most potential. But Becton, just the biggest body, 6'7", and he's literally a grizzly bear, people say. He's going to be a great pickup, and he would be probably the best fit with the team. He would be the best fit with the Giants. With 5th overall pick, I have the Dolphins selecting Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback from Alabama. When I do my next mock draft, when I do what I think they should do, I would definitely go with the offensive lineman here, or one of the top 4 tackles. But I think the Dolphins are just going to select Tua. Today a rumor came out saying that Tua failed 2 physicals with 2 NFL teams. My bad. It didn't say what teams they are. I would assume maybe like teams that could potentially be there were the Lions, Chargers, Dolphins, maybe even the Raiders. Those are 4 candidates, but that's just a rumor. But I think the Miami Dolphins are still going to select them. With the 6th overall pick, we have our first trade. The LA Chargers trade down, and they go to pick 9 as the Chargers trade pick 6, and 187 to the Jaguars as the Jaguars trade pick 9, 42, 137, and a 2021 4th. And with this pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars will select Jeff Okudah, cornerback from Ohio State. Now, I do think if Tua doesn't go to them, if Tua and Isaiah Simmons both get selected in the top 5, I personally think the Chargers will trade down. That's how I think, because you don't need a cornerback, and in the next few picks, Arizona's probably may even take offensive tackle. But besides that, yeah, I personally think you can get like an offensive lineman in the 2nd round. I think the Chargers will most likely trade down if Simmons and Tua both are already selected. But for the Jaguars, your secondary is trash. You have 2 first-round picks. You're lucky that you didn't trade pick 20 though, but you do have to trade your 2nd-round pick. I think Jaguars, if Jeff Okudah falls out of the top 5, I can definitely see the Jaguars jumping up and selecting him. People say it's the closest corner to Jalen Ramsey. We know the Jacksonville situation with Jalen Ramsey, so Jeff Okudah, the closest thing to Jalen Ramsey going to Jacksonville, is kind of ironic. I just thought of that actually. Oh wait. The Panthers are not even selecting now. They have traded down, and the Philadelphia Eagles are trading up. The Panthers trade pick 7 and 222 to the Eagles for pick 21, 103, and a 2021 2nd. And the Eagles, with the 7th overall pick, select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver from Oklahoma. Where Jerry Jeudy selected, which we'll get to later, and this pick with CeeDee Lamb, it can easily be a flip-flop. I personally think CeeDee Lamb is a little bit better because even though his route running is not as good as Jeudy, I think everything else CeeDee Lamb does the same as Jeudy or a little bit better than him. The Eagles were candidates in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes, and CeeDee Lamb is basically a not as fast version of DeAndre Hopkins, so bang. For the Panthers, I can definitely see him going like Derek Brown here, but we'll get to the Panthers later. With the 8th overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals will select Tristan Wirfs, offensive lineman from Iowa. I only did this because Tristan Wirfs is definitely versatile. He mainly plays right tackle, but he can also slide in at the right guard position if needed. Even though, like I said, I think Andrew Thomas is the best tackle in this class, he's more of a left tackle, and the Cardinals recently just signed their left tackle of the future in DJ Humphries. So, I think the Cardinals would prefer Wirfs over Thomas, and now there is a rumor saying if he does fall, they do select Derek Brown, but I do think the Cardinals will select one of those guys in the 3rd round, and they're going to get their offensive lineman of the future. Now we're back to the Chargers, who traded down from 6-9, and this could be a surpriser as well. The LA Chargers select oh my gosh. How did I get George and Jordan wrong? My bad. But with the 9th overall pick, the LA Chargers select Jordan Love, quarterback from Utah State. I'm not ever going to get over George Love. Man. But the Chargers, I think this is a really good situation. People say he's a poor man's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is literally in your division, buddy. It's going to be a perfect situation. They did go out and say Tyrod Taylor will be starting this year. If he underperforms, you can put Jordan Love in. Not the best decision maker though. But Tyrod Taylor, if I'm not mistaken, his contract is due after this upcoming season. So after Tyrod Taylor leaves, or they don't re-sign him, Jordan Love's your QB. And I think that's what the Chargers would need. I don't think the Chargers are going to be Super Bowl contenders this year anyway. So you have 1 year to develop a QB, and then also have a draft pick next year who knows what would be. That, I think, is what the Chargers would do. With the 10th overall pick, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock, and they select Andrew Thomas, offensive lineman from Georgia. Anywhere on the line, basically, the Browns needed help, and they went out and signed Jack Conklin. Now you just got to get a partner in crime from him, and you get the best offensive tackle in the draft, in my opinion. Andrew Thomas, out of the top 4, Becton, Wirfs, Thomas, and Wills, he doesn't have that, out of the 4, he has the lowest ceiling, in my opinion, but he does have the highest floor. Andrew Thomas, without a doubt, is a franchise left tackle, and I think the Browns can't pass up on that. With the 11th pick, the New York Jets select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver from Alabama. I personally would go O-line here, which could be a spoiler for next week's mock draft, but I think they're going to go with a wide receiver because they did sign George Fant, and I have a feeling they're going to think, oh, George Fant's going to be our key offensive lineman. Now let's go out and get a receiver. Getting a receiver is smart, though. You did lose Robbie Anderson, and you did get Brashard Perriman, but you don't want him to be your number 1 receiver. Then you got Quincy Enunwa, who gets injuries, so I think this is a very smart pick, but I personally would go O-line, but Jets, they get a really good wide receiver. My bad. With the 12th overall pick, I have the Las Vegas Raiders getting Henry Ruggs, the 3rd wide receiver from Alabama. Back-to-back Bama receivers. This could affect what the 49ers were doing with their next pick, which we'll get to soon. But for Vegas, your glaring hole is wide receiver. Yeah, Hunter Renfrow, he got hurt last year, but he was doing really good. Tyrell Williams is good, but he's not going to be that number 1 receiver. Like I've been saying for I don't know how long, Henry Ruggs, maybe not his first year, but I can see him being a consistent 1,000-yard receiver, and that's what Marcus Mariota or Derek Carr needs. With 13th overall pick, I have the 49ers selecting Javon Kinlaw, defensive lineman from South Carolina. And now you may be saying, Ethan, this is a smart pick, but why would they not go with Derek Brown? Simply because you lost to Forrest Buckner, and I think Javon Kinlaw is more of a type player to Buckner than Brown is. And also, I think Kinlaw is more of a scheme fit in the Niners defense. But I would not be surprised if Derek Brown gets selected here. Personally, I think Javon Kinlaw would be better anyway. With the 14th overall pick, the Tom Brady Buccaneers select Jedrick Wills, offensive lineman from Alabama. You just got Tom Brady. You just got him. Your offensive lineman is not the worst in the league, but it's definitely regressing. You have one of the top 5 guards in Ali Marpet, but besides that, most of your O-line is just either trash or old. It's time to get good and young, and that is exactly what Jedrick Wills is. You get the last of the top 4 tackles, and I think any one of these tackles would be a really good fit for this Bucs team, but I think they're just going to stay in place and wait for their last guy, and they're still going to be good. Next trade, the Carolina The Carolina Panthers have traded up to pick 15. Panthers trade pick 21, 103, and 185 to the Broncos for pick 15 and 253. Broncos here. The top 3 wide receivers are gone. The Eagles will not be selecting a receiver in front of you. So let's do some quick math. Atlanta's not going to get a receiver. Dallas may, but most likely not. Miami, I doubt it. Vegas, you just got Ruggs. Jacksonville, you still need secondary and defense. And then it's you. I think they're going to try to trade down and get Justin Jefferson with additional picks. And for Carolina, you select Derrick Brown, defensive lineman from Auburn. He's fallen, and I think Justin Herbert and Derrick Brown will be this year's fallers, because that's what happened to every draft. Last year, DK Metcalf was a big one. Previous year, Derwin James, etc. I think it's going to be Derrick Brown and or Justin Herbert this year. Your defensive line was terrible last year for Carolina, and you're just filling a need with arguably the best defensive lineman in this draft at pick 15. With the 16th overall pick, my Atlanta Falcons select C.J. Henderson, cornerback from Florida. Now, I do understand there's a reputation with defensive Florida players don't train out or play out in the NFL. Keanu Neal, injury prone. Dante Fowler, took him a while to develop. Tim Tebow, known as the greatest college football quarterback of all time. Now he's playing baseball, and he's trash at both sports. Now, I understand where people are getting from here, but I think C.J. Henderson is the second best cornerback in this year's draft, besides, of course, Jeff Okudah. And for Atlanta, if you get Kayvon Chaisson, I will literally slap whoever drafted him. And if you get Christian Fulton, I really wouldn't care, but I prefer C.J. Henderson over him. And going into talking about Christian Fulton, the 17th overall pick in the NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Christian Fulton, cornerback from LSU. Same thing. If Atlanta selects Christian Fulton, I think Dallas would draft C.J. Henderson. Your cornerback hole is just terrible now. Besides that, a woozy dude you drafted a few years ago. Cornerbacks are very weak, and it was weak with Byron Jones, and now he left to Miami. Your secondary is one of the worst in the league, and if you want to be known as that contender in the NFL, you need a secondary, and you go out and get Christian Fulton, who could potentially be better than Henderson. With the 18th overall pick, Miami reaches on an offensive tackle, and they select Josh Jones, tackle from Houston. Josh Jones, I think this is too high for him, even though I do think he's underrated. I can definitely see him going with 26, but Miami, we'll get to that pick later. Miami, they need offensive line bad. He's the best offensive lineman on the board. You get him now. With the 19th overall pick, I have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Grant Delpit, safety from LSU. Like the Dallas Cowboys, like I said, you need a good secondary to compete in the NFL. Actually, no, that's a false lie. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and there's one of the worst in the league. But Vegas needs a safety besides LaMarcus Joyner. I personally think I personally prefer Xavier McKinney over Grant Delpit, but I think Grant Delpit would be more of a scheme fit in John Gruden's defense, so I think he goes here. Talking about Xavier McKinney, with the 20th overall pick, I have the Jaguars selecting Xavier McKinney's safety from Alabama. Dang, the Jaguars are doing good in this draft, only for defense, not in the front office, because their owner is an idiot. You trade up for the best corner in this draft, maybe in the past 4 years, and then you, in my opinion, get the best safety in the draft. Your secondary could be good with these two stars. And, like I said about Justin Jefferson with Denver a few minutes ago, 21st overall pick, Denver selects Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from LSU. Your plan worked, Denver. You trade down, you get more picks, and you still get the receiver you want in Justin Jefferson. Besides Courtland Sutton, you really don't have that dude. Now you have Justin Jefferson in the slot, and now you also have Courtland Sutton on the outside. You got Drew Lock some weapons. With the 22nd overall pick in the NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select K'Lavon Chaisson, edge rusher from LSU. You just got rid of Everson Griffin. Now your edge is still a glaring hole. Even though I'm not high on K'Lavon Chaisson, as he is overhyped in my opinion, without a doubt he's the best edge rusher available right now, and Minnesota takes him. Now, sorry for this flip. I'm looking at my notes here. And here we go with the 23rd overall pick in the NFL Draft. I kind of sneaked it earlier, but there's a QB who hasn't got selected yet. In the 23rd pick, the Patriots select Justin Herbert, quarterback from Oregon. Like I said, I think Herbert's going to fall. Well, I think he's going to. And man, you lose Brady, but arguably there's some idiots. You got the second best QB in the draft. I see him as the fourth, coming from an Oregon fan for myself. But, yeah. But you got an arm, crazy, and Bill Belichick's gonna... But I can definitely see them, now it's looking more likely, you're going to keep Jarrett Stidham, and then you go with either like a tight end as you reach for one, or you go on with like a defense. Even make that defense better. Spoiler alert, I got no tight ends in this mock draft. That's how weak that tight end class is this year. So, with the 24th overall pick, I have the New Orleans Saints selecting Kenneth Murray, linebacker from Oklahoma. Kenneth Murray, my best linebacker in this year's draft. Even though Queen is more of a traditional linebacker, Kenneth Murray can play linebacker and can also, in some schemes, go to edge. I can definitely see him playing edge with the Saints, but I do think the Saints do want to develop Marcus Davenport a little bit, so I think he's going to play linebacker. But really good pick here for the Saints, making that defense better. I think I can definitely see like a guy like Denzel Mims going here, but I think New Orleans is going to work on defense in the first round. With the 25th overall pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Denzel Mims, wide receiver from Baylor. Minnesota, besides Adam Thielen, your receiving core sucks after trading Stephon Diggs. Denzel Mims, the best receiver on the board in my personal opinion, and you just get him. Even though it's not the best scheme fit, you get him. He's your second receiver. With the 26th overall pick, I have the Miami Dolphins with their third first-round pick this year, selecting Cesar Ruiz. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Offensive lineman from Michigan. Last pick, you got a tackle with Josh Jones, and now you get a center with Ruiz, however you say this dude's name. I'm not good with names. Now you get an interior guy to protect your quarterback, Tua. Smart pick, just making that offense better. And besides getting some bums on the offensive line, majority of that big cap space went to defense, so this is how I'm assuming it would go down. 27th overall pick, probably the biggest surprise so far. Seattle selects Austin Jackson, offensive lineman from USC. I know. Edge rusher, big need after not re-signing Clowney. It was a big need even before Clowney got there. I do think they're gonna work with LJ Collier with it, playing edge. That's why I think Austin Jackson gets here. And otherwise, I think Austin Jackson he would probably fit the best in Seattle anyway, 28th overall pick, Baltimore selects Patrick Queen, linebacker from LSU. You lost C.J. Mosley a few years ago in free agency. He went to New York. Then the backup did pretty good. You didn't re-sign him, and guess what? He went to New York too. Now the Jets got 2 Ravens linebackers who are saying, hey, we can win a Super Bowl. No, you can't, but that's besides the point. You need a linebacker. Patrick Queen is your guy. If Kenneth Murray falls, I see him going here as well. But I personally think they go with the best linebacker on the board here. You get Patrick Queen. With the 29th overall pick, the Tennessee Titans select Zach Bond, linebacker / edge rusher from Wisconsin. This may not be like the big needs, but I personally think Tennessee and Zach Bond is a really good fit. On how Mike Vrabel runs that defense, I think Bond would be the best scheme fit. Well, with all the available players as well. 30th overall pick, the biggest, I'm not sure. Some people may have him this high, some people don't. I think he's going to be good with the Packers, though. 30th overall pick out of the Green Bay Packers, selecting Chase Claypool, wide receiver from Notre Dame. Now, hear me out. He's supposed to go in the second round, but I do not like Notre Dame that much, I'll be honest. I didn't watch many of their games because I despise them. But the combine, and I looked at film, this dude can ball. I wish the Falcons got him, but now we got Hayden Hurst. Green Bay, you just lost Jimmy Graham, and now you need a tight end and a receiver. Now you get a receiver, and if you need him to play tight end, he can play that tight end role as well. I think this is the type of player the Packers really love, and he, even though most people can consider it a reach, I think he would play out really good in this Packers team. 31st overall, the San Francisco 49ers are back on the clock, and they select A.J. Terrell, cornerback from Clemson. I saw a lot of mock drafts with him here, and I'm not sure much about him. I'm going to believe them, and I'm going to go with him here. And with the last pick in the first round, and I'm going to record the second round on a separate day, so my voice may be different. The Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions, select Jeff Gladney, cornerback from TCU. Probably the most underrated player in the first round, in my opinion. Kansas City needs a cornerback. You just lost Kendall Fuller as he went to Washington. You have a glaring hole at corner. You get Jeff Gladney. I'm not sure. It's going to be a decent scheme fit. Not the best in the world, but not terrible. He has a lot of upside and potential with him, though. He's definitely going to need work. But getting mentored by Tyrann Mathieu and one of the best coaches in the league, in Andy Reid, the Chiefs can really develop him. And yeah. So that is it. The end of the first round. And now let's go to the second round. So hello and welcome to the second round of my mock draft, and a few things. There's going to be 8 to 9 picks or players are going to be on the board. If the line is highlighted in blue, we will be getting to that trade, as that is a new trade that we haven't talked about. And if it's a yellow-green, it was a previous trade that we already talked about in the video. So let's get straight into it. With a 33rd overall pick, the Bengals select Matthew Pert, offensive lineman from UConn. Like Tampa Bay, Cincinnati's offensive line is either really bad or really old, depending on the position. Besides Jonah Williams, most of that offensive line can get traded. So, Jonah Williams is another tackle, so you pair him with Matthew Pert, really good. Personally, I think if Matthew Pert went to like a bigger university, like maybe even like UCF or something, he could have been potentially a first-round pick. That's just my opinion. With the 34th overall pick, the Colts select T. Higgins, wide receiver from Clemson. With this pick right here, the Colts, they just need more weapons for Phillip Rivers, and T. Higgins is without a doubt the best receiver on the board. You may be asking me, why did I go with him? Why did I go with Chase Claypool over Higgins? I personally think Claypool is better than Higgins in the first place, and I do think Claypool has more potential, and he's more versatile, and also faster. My bad. But with the 35th overall pick, the Lions select Jalen Johnson, cornerback from Utah. With the second round, you're going to be seeing a lot more of underrated players, in my personal opinion, going. And here's a perfect example. Very underrated corner in this year's draft, Jalen Johnson. You just traded Darius Slay, and you didn't go with Jeff Okudah. You went with Isaiah Simmons. And I do think good corners are going to be going in the second round. And Detroit picks one up. Justin Coleman can't do it by himself after trading Slay. So you get Slay's replacement in Jalen Johnson. With the 36th overall pick at the Giants, selecting Yetur Gross-Matos, edge rusher from Penn State. And now, AJ Epinesa is still on the board, but personally I saw rumors saying that Gross-Matos in the Giants is going to be a good fit, as Matos really wants to play for the Giants, or the Giants really want to pick him up. I forget which one. But I think the Giants would go right here with a player that wants to play for the Giants over a player that can be better in the long run. That's how I think the Giants roll. So, otherwise, you get that Penn State chemistry a little bit with Saquon and him. So, yeah. With the 37th overall pick, this is not the pick in the Jaguars trade, but it's the Chargers' original pick. The Chargers select Lucas Niang, offensive lineman from TCU. You got Jordan Love, and you got to have a player who protects Jordan Love and, for this upcoming season, Tyrod Taylor. And on the board, Niang is the best tackle in this class, in my personal opinion, and he goes here. With the 38th overall pick, I have the Panthers selecting Trevon Diggs, cornerback from Alabama. You just lost James Bradbury in the offseason, and you need a cornerback to pair up with Dante Jackson. And Trevon Diggs could potentially be better than Jalen Johnson, AJ Terrell, Jeff Gladney. Potentially. And Carolina, I think, in this draft is mainly going to be working on defense. And since you didn't go with a corner in the first round, as you selected Derek Brown, you go with a corner here. With the 39th overall pick, Miami selects AJ Epinesa, edge rusher from Iowa. Like I said earlier, Miami, I think, is going to go with team needs in the first round. Well, team needs on the offense in the first round. And then in the second round, they're going to go with either team needs for defense or the best available player. And the best available player here is AJ Epinesa. You need an edge rusher in the first place, and he has fallen. He's not the most athletic and fast, but he may be the second strongest besides Chase Young. And with the 40th overall pick, I have the Houston Texans selecting Neville Gallimore, defensive lineman from Oklahoma. This is the pick from the Cardinals, by the way. Houston, you need a defensive lineman. It may not be oblivious, but you need one. You just lost DJ Reader as he went to Cincy. And besides J.J. Watt, who gets injured frequently, you need a defensive lineman. And even though I'm not high on Neville Gallimore myself, I think Houston's going to go with their opinion, the best available, and he's the best available. With the 41st overall pick, I have the Browns selecting Anton Winfield, safety from Minnesota. And besides tackle or basically any position on the offensive line, the second biggest need for the Browns is definitely safety. And I have Anton Winfield being the third best safety in this year's class. He has skills more like a corner, but he's definitely way better at safety. His dad played corner in the NFL back in the 90s. I really like this kid. There's a look at his film. He could potentially be the second best, but right now he's the third best, and the Browns pick him up. My bad, but with the 42nd pick, the Chargers are back on the clock due to the trade with the Jaguars earlier in the video. And they select Lloyd Cushenberry, offensive lineman from LSU. It's kind of a similar situation like the Dolphins did in the first round. You go with tackle first, and then you get interior offensive line next. That's what I think the Chargers are going to do. You just got Lucas Niang, and now you need a guard/center type of player, and Lloyd Cushenberry is the best available as of right now. With the 43rd overall pick, the Bears are, for the first time today, are on the clock, and they select Kyle Duggar, safety from Lenoir-Rhyne. He's going to be a very raw prospect. He's from a small school, but very athletic, and I just love this fit. You need a safety to pair up with Eddie Jackson, as Eddie Jackson really didn't look like that dude who can take up that safety really well, as he did play way better with Adrian Amos on the side. I can definitely see Kyle Duggar filling that Adrian Amos spot, and bang, you got your safety of the future. I gotta flip my notes real quick, and that's the last time in this video that we would be doing that. With the 44th overall pick, the Colts select DeAndre Swift, running back from Georgia. Finally, the running backs get off the board here, and definitely Swift is best receiving back in this draft. I definitely don't see him being a third down back, as that is definitely the type of role Marlon Mack can do. Marlon Mack is definitely underrated, but he's injury prone, and he's definitely not a 3-down consistent running back. I can definitely see Swift being on there for first and second down, but Marlon Mack would definitely fill in that third down role. Swift's more of an elusive and receiving back, as Marlon Mack is elusive and power. So you get two different good running backs, and Swift could potentially be one of the best running backs in the league. With the 45th overall pick, the Tampa Bay Bucks select Jonathan Taylor, running back from Wisconsin. Back-to-back running backs go here. Besides offensive line, I think you're going to try to build this offense to get more weapons around Tom Brady. And with Taylor, you're going to get less pressure on Tom Brady, as Taylor's more of a pure running back. He's not the best receiver, and he is known for having fumbles, but he is probably the best 3-down back in the league. Well, in the draft, not the league. With the 46th overall pick, I have the Denver Broncos selecting Isaiah Wilson, offensive lineman from Georgia. Another underrated offensive lineman, as I think in the second round, like I said with Matt Pert, this is where the underrated players are going to go. I think he got most of his shine taken away from him by Andrew Thomas, as after his freshman year, we knew he was going to be a mid to early first round pick. Isaiah Wilson is going to fit perfectly. I think in this draft, Denver's going to mainly focus on defense. I'm not doing the third round here, but I can definitely see a corner going for Denver in the third round. But besides that, and besides filling a corner spot, I think you 100% focus on offense and get Drew Lock weapons and protection. With the 47th overall pick, my Falcons select Ross Blacklock, defensive lineman from TCU. Besides Grady Jarrett, you need a defensive line. You tried to help it and get Dante Fowler, but you still need help after Takk McKinley is just underperforming, and I don't think the Falcons are going to re-sign him. And if they do, not for cheap and maybe for a backup role. Ross Blacklock, definitely a player I like. The best defensive lineman on the board, and Atlanta picks him up. With the 48th overall pick, I have the Jets selecting Ezra Cleveland, offensive lineman from Boise State. He has risen on a lot of people's boards due to a really good combine. My bad. I don't know that much about him. I just read off what some fellow other YouTubers did and the Draft Network, and I think he goes here for the Jets. I think it's definitely going to take time to develop him, but I think he could potentially be a good tackle for this team. With the 49th overall pick, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting Marlon Davidson, defensive lineman from Auburn. With this pick and Atlanta's pick with Ross Blacklock, it was a toss-up. I wasn't sure. Personally, I thought I mainly just went with a fit here, even though I think Marlon Davidson is a tad better than Ross Blacklock. I think Blacklock is a better fit with Atlanta, and Davidson's a better fit with Pittsburgh. even though I can, in some mocks, to see a tight end going here, maybe even a receiver or a running back, I think you just get the glaring hole in your defense. You just lost Javon Hargrave to the Eagles. You fill him in immediately with Marlon Davidson, and you're right back to having one of the top 10 defenses in the league. With the 50th overall pick, we have our fourth trade of the episode. The Chicago Bears send pick 50 and 234 to the Tennessee Titans for pick 61, 175, and a 2021 third. So the Titans are on the board, and they need a defensive lineman to pair up with last year's pick in Jeffrey Simmons to fill in that Jarrell Casey spot, and you select Raekwon Davis, defensive lineman from Alabama. Yeah, last year in my very first mock draft I ever did, I thought he was in last year's, and I'm going to the Patriots. Someone mentioned he's not in this year's, he's going to be in next year's. And he has definitely fallen on a lot of people's boards. I think he would be another great fit for Tennessee, as I think Tennessee definitely is going to focus on scheme fit in this draft and not for the best overall player. With the 51st overall pick, Dallas is on the board, and they select Curtis Weaver, edge rusher from Boise State. Dallas, even though you just sound out on Smith, he hasn't played in like 4 to 5 years. If he doesn't work out, you get Curtis Weaver, and now I'm realizing Dallas loves that defensive player from Boise State. DeMarcus Lawrence and Leighton Van Der Esch are both from there. You get another Boise State kid. Just like DeMarcus Lawrence, basically, an underlying edge rusher who has great potential, and is mainly there to sack the quarterback and not the run defense. It's basically DeMarcus Lawrence 2.0, and you have two of them on both sides of the ball. That could be scary. For the 52nd overall pick, the LA Rams are on the clock for the first time today, and they select Akeem Davis-Gaither, linebacker from Appalachian State. The Rams, you're just falling down, and now I think you went from Super Bowl runner-ups to, in 2 years, being the worst in your division. You just lost Corey Littleton in free agency, and even before he left, your linebacker was a very weak spot. Even though the next pick, spoiler alert, is Willie Gay, I think Davis-Gaither has, right now, is a better player. I think that's what the Rams need. They need a person who can product immediately. But going to the next pick for the Eagles, they selected Willie Gay Jr., linebacker from Mississippi State. They're going to need a linebacker who can develop and potentially be maybe even the second best linebacker in this draft besides Isaiah Simmons. Otherwise, it seems like Philadelphia really loves his Mississippi State boys, as they got Fletcher Cox, Darius Slate, and now Willie Gay Jr. For the 54th overall, wow, the Bills actually have a pick now, and they select Terrell Lewis, edge rusher from Alabama. He is injury prone, but I do think he has pretty good upside, and that's what the Bills need, a player with a good upside and a team need. With the 55th overall pick, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Tyler Biadasz, offensive lineman from Wisconsin. He was the center for Wisconsin last year, and he was easily the best offensive lineman for Wisconsin last year. Even though he's definitely fallen on my boards, I don't know why he's fallen so far on most people's boards, as I'm not sure if he went to the Combine. I really didn't do that much film and research about him, but definitely a late second round type of player. With the 56th overall pick, our fourth trade of the episode, the New Orleans Saints get picked 56 as Dolphins trade pick 56 and 247 to the Saints for pick 88, 170, and a 2021 fifth round pick. And with the 56th overall pick, the Saints select Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver from Arizona State. Yes, I do understand that Laviska Shenault is still on the board, but he is injury concerned, and for the Saints, you need a dude who's a vertical threat and that doesn't get injured frequently, and that's what Brandon Ayuk is. Definitely risen on people's boards, and definitely on mine, and I think he would actually be a really good fit for this team. I lied, I do have to flip my paper one more time. The rest of the draft, basically, I had to redo because the Rams traded pick 57. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I did have an initial trade, but the Brandon Cooks trade messed it up. So with the 57th overall pick, the Rams have another second, and they selected Nate Mutai, offensive lineman from Fresno State. I had the Vikings going with this player, but we'll get to the Vikings in a few, probably like 50 seconds. The Rams, you need offensive line. It's either, like with Miami and the Bucks, they're either really bad or really old. Andrew Whitworth, your best player, if I'm not mistaken, is 37, 38. He probably only has 1 or 2 more years in the tank, and he's bye-bye. You need to select one of these guys to develop, and even though Mutai has some injury concerns, he is definitely a very underrated interior offensive lineman. And another interior offensive lineman goes here as the Minnesota Vikings select Robert Hunt, offensive lineman from Louisiana. A player I really didn't do that much about, but he has definitely risen on people's boards. The draft networks as well. I'm just trusting them, as even though Minnesota is definitely worse than last year, for I don't know how long, their interior line has not been... Their entire offensive line, as a period, is not good. You did draft center Garrett Bradbury in the first round last year, but you still need 2 other good guys, and you start off getting Robert Hunt, which is a good pick. With the 59th overall pick, Seattle selects Joshua Uche, edge rusher from Michigan. Now, Seattle had a glaring edge rusher need, and I can definitely see him going back-to-back picks with the edge rusher. Joshua Uche, I watched the Senior Bowl and he really impressed me, and most other people as well. Definitely a late riser. And he's definitely a type of player Seattle needs and wants as a scheme fit. You needed an edge rusher before Clowney left, and Clowney's not going to return most likely. You get a good one here. Finally, Laviska Shenault goes at pick 60 to Baltimore, and for Baltimore, I think this pick is definitely going to be a receiver, and I think it's going to be the best one on the board. If Ayuk falls, it's going to be Ayuk, but Shenault falls and he gets here. I really like Laviska Shenault, but my bad. But the combine, he really disappointed me, and since I've realized that the weapons at Colorado was worse than I thought, he basically was the only target, which both made me impressed but made him fall on my boards a little bit. But Laviska Shenault goes to Baltimore. With 61, the Bears, this is the pick the Titans had, but they traded back. So the Bears selected Bryce Hall, cornerback from Virginia. I think the Bears should trade their second pick to go down a little bit here. I think in the second round they're definitely going to be working on their secondary. Kyle Fuller was a major disappointment. Prince Amukamara, I'm pretty sure he's a free agent, but if he's not, he either left. But if he's still in the Bears, he's definitely underperformed the last few years. Bryce Hall, in my personal opinion, was a first-round pick, a late first-round pick, early second-round pick before he got hurt. People definitely forgot about this dude because he went to a small school, a big school, but small in their conference, but not known for football. But definitely a really good cornerback. With pick 62, the Green Bay Packers, they go back-to-back receivers in the draft. They select Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver from USC. Green Bay. I think this is going to be a great thing for Green Bay. Even though this is in the first time in this mock draft, this is what I wanted to do for the Packers. You go with Chase Claypool early, maybe known as a reach, but he can definitely play a tight end inside role. Michael Pittman, he was a Blittenkoff finalist last year. His father played in the NFL. He's 6'4", a big receiver. Just imagine Devontae Adams, Chase Claypool, now Michael Pittman, also with Alan Lazard and Martez Valdez-Scantling. That receiving core went from one of the worst to definitely a top 15 if both of these rookies perform well. Second to last pick, I have the Chiefs selecting Malik Harrison, linebacker from Ohio State. Another player that I'm not sure about. After Willie Gay goes down, I'm not really big on, well, I'm not that knowledgeable about the rest of the linebackers. And according to the Draft Network, Malik Harrison is the best linebacker available, and the Chiefs really need a linebacker. Chiefs definitely going to be working on defense with the first and second round, in my personal opinion, and they go with the best linebacker available, and that is Harrison. He's definitely going to need time to develop, but he goes here. And finally, the last pick is actually a trade. Seattle trades down once again as Seattle trades pick 64 and 215 to the Giants for pick 99, 110 in the 2021 7th. For the Giants, they don't have a third round pick due to the Leonard Williams trade, so you trade a fourth and a fifth. So yeah. And with this last pick of my mock draft, the Giants select Jeremy Chin, safety from Southern Illinois. Chin is definitely like a type of player like Isaiah Simmons, like I said earlier. He's that new prototype of a linebacker who is mainly going to play linebacker, or is known to play linebacker, but he can, well, not in Chin's case, he's mainly known as a safety, but he can play that linebacker spot. He can play defensive back. If he does play safety, Jabril Peppers definitely goes down to a corner, and now your safeties are Julian Love and Jeremy Chin. And that is it for my mock draft. Quick note, a very underrated receiver that can go in the third round is Antonio Gandy-Golden. Watch out for him. But that is it for my NFL mock draft 2.0. Like I said, this is what I think the teams would do, not what I would do. Next video would either be some breaking college football news, which I doubt during this quarantine, but next video would definitely be my mock draft 3.0 right before the draft, and that's what I would do. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, and like always, have a good day. Peace out.